Well, welcome to the apocalypse. This video is for anyone who's low on cash and has not prepared at all. I'm really into budget fucking shit. And my current setup is pretty fucking cheap. So I figured I'd do a video on it. I sold off a shitload of guns to buy knife making equipment a long time ago. And this is, kind of what I've got since then. Anyway, this whole fucking rig is basically a combination of shit that I either already had for free or that I got cheap. See, like, this backpack is a Kelty MAP 3500 from Amazon International. That pack is, actually right now I could probably sell that on eBay for a bunch because people fucking jerk off over anything that special operations use, but I also really like that fucking pack, so I'm not gonna do that. That pack back in the day got used by some fucking SEALs at one point somewhere, so a bunch of fucking gear queers jerk off to have that thing. So don't necessarily buy a backpack like that. Buy like an Alice pack or something. Like, I'm gonna give suggestions of different things to buy other than what I have here, especially on some of the stuff that I, acquired in the before times or whatever, Anyway, let's make sure we're actually recording. We seem to be. I've done that before where I record a whole video and didn't fucking check it. Anyway, the other shit here, besides the pack that you can't see on screen, is a big blade survival knife with a survival kit. I made this. It's just a chopper. It's 5160 and it's all business, and it's on a lanyard or baldric, whatever you want to call it, so you can wear it across your body. I envision this being mostly a tool in case we need to fucking build shelters or something like that, so it's gonna go in the pack more than likely. Other shit that would go in the pack would be cordage, rope. I've got like a 50-foot hank of, I think this is 2,000 pound test, and then I would throw a spool of paracord in with this shit too, or some paracord, probably like a couple 100 feet. That is if you're going to be taking a backpack. I'm covering the shit for the backpack first because it's off screen, then we'll get to all of this. The backpack I would view as like an additional piece of equipment, like, hey, we're leaving the house, so take this fucking backpack and fill it with everything in your house that might be useful, like batteries and food and water and shit like that. Also in the bag, it's a shemagh. It's got a bunch of fucking uses and it's handy to have. Some of the shit you can do with a shemagh is make a tourniquet. You can keep brass from going inside your shirt. You can wrap it around shit like this if it's carrying a lot of weight and it pads it. It's a good thing to have. Booty cap, also equally valuable. Sun protection cap. An odd thing I have in my kit that a lot of people fucking wouldn't is a thing I got for free. It's a United States Marshal Service fucking NBC Hood, basically. This fire, gas, anything where you can't breathe, this gives you like I guess like 15-20 minutes of escape time. So it's not as good as a gas mask. I've got a respirator, like if you're worried about COVID-19 or whatever. Personally, as you might tell, I'm gonna be kind of out in the woods away from people, so not really that worried about it. Even where I am here, like, I'm good. I'm not really that worried about catching that shit. Another thing in the backpack, or batteries for the hearing protection and the flashlight, which we'll get to in a minute. And this is all the shit that I would have preloaded in there, and then I would go through my house and like fill it with food and water and extra batteries and everything else that I could fucking find. Because the thought is, like, you're gonna take your car wherever it is that you're gonna try to bug out to, if you were gonna try to bug out, which I'm not really a fan of bugging out, but for this conversation it makes sense. But you'd load everything you could possibly load in that fucking car and then drive it out somewhere and fucking, you know, use it as a cache or whatever. Like, I wouldn't stay at the car necessarily unless you could really hide it somewhere. But anything you don't want to carry, stash it in the fucking car and lock it and hide it. Like, take it off of a main road and fucking do some Boy Scout shit with some sticks and brush and shit and hide your fucking car. Lock it, and it ought to be pretty fucking good. So, like, if you have extra batteries, maybe, like, only bring enough for like 2 months if you go fucking off into the woods to fucking hide out. But you might have like a couple of years worth of batteries in your fucking car. That sort of thinking. And honestly, I wouldn't advise fucking bugging out for this. I'll hit that again. Like, stay where you are, defend your home. This is all about the backpack shit. But the other thing that I have in there is a Camelback. It's one of the USGI surplus ones. It's good to go. It has straps that can be worn on its own, and I can hang it in the bag. So that's why I like that. Primary weapon. This is a Winchester 1200 with a side saddle, which I keep fucking up the shells on. I bought this as a bird gun. I got it for $100 at a pawn shop, and cut it down and put a new bead on it and did all of that shit so that it's good to go now as like a home defense shotgun. When I found this gun, it was incorrectly reassembled and therefore cheap. I got it, like I said, $100 out the door. Then I fixed it, and I actually bought a new set of furniture for it. I've got the original walnut hunting furniture inside. I can put that on if I ever want, but I got this cop set for a Winchester 1300 for $20 at a gun show. I much prefer that, and I put a sling on it and the whole shebang. So now it's, you know, this is about as cheap as you're gonna get for a fucking long gun. And 12 gauge is not the worst thing in the world to have. You can hunt pretty much anything you want with a 12 gauge to some extent. I like that gun. So, on to the other weapons. This is a Colt Police Positive I picked up at a gun shop in North Tulsa for like $75. It needed grips. I made those grips to put on it. They're like some kind of gangster grips. It's a gun I keep in my pocket. So that's along for the ride, along with its extra ammo. You got a speed loader and a box of ammo there. If you need more than that, I think I would be switching guns. Is this like the best handgun you could get? No, but it's what I had. So, and it's cheap as fuck. And honestly, if someone was like, man, in the apocalypse, what would you rather have? A fucking 32 caliber Colt or a 9mm caliber high point? I think I would always pick the 32 caliber Colt. That's just me. Now the last gun in the bunch here is a Ruger Wrangler. These things, it just came out and are cheap, and I was wanting a gun to go plinking with and shit. And for this rig, I had a holster for it, so I put the holster on the rig, and it's kind of like, if you're drawing this, things are probably bad, but what I kind of envision it as is it's a really lightweight thing that you can hunt small game with, a lot quieter than you can a shotgun. So this is sort of survival, sort of fucking combat. It's a mix of the two. And that's why this is on this rig. This gun will also fit in this holster, but I can carry this in a pocket or in a fucking bib pocket if I'm wearing overalls, and it's easily accessible. And I have a cheapo pocket holster for this thing too. This is a flashlight. This is the Streamlight ProTac. It's really bright out here, but this is actually a really bright flashlight. There's no flashlight on the shotgun because I just don't have a way to mount it. If I had a way to mount it, I might. But to be honest, if shit's dark, I'm probably not going to be running around. I'm either going to be running around without a light, or if I have the light out, I'm maybe using a fucking pistol because I'm inside a house or something. I'm never going to fucking light that light off outside in the open world. So it really doesn't matter that the shotgun can't mount the light. And when you're like, why would you never light that off outside in the open world? This light's bright enough that if you turn this on at all and someone else has nods, they're going to fucking see you in half a minute, and they'll be zeroing in on your location. I used to hunt cops in my neighborhood for fun. When I had nods, I'd be in the bushes and shit and just watch, because they would always give away their positions with fucking lights and shit. And if I can do that, anyone can do that. I would never use a fucking white light in the open at night. Besides the fact that you can just see it with the naked eye pretty good too. Hearing protection, it's pretty obvious. These are Peltors. I bought these to work in. They have Bluetooth, so you got comms integrated as long as you have cell phones. This is probably one of the higher dollar things on this table I would actually recommend to buy. This setup's about $150 with the gel cups I have in it, and the band for it. And actually, I ended up replacing the whole headband with one off of an El Cheapo set of Peltors, and threw away the expensive foldable one that came with this. So now it's fixed and just indestructible. So you'd have to do some work to get this exact set, but just these Peltors as they came were pretty badass. They lasted about a year and a half or 2 years with their original headband. And those take AA's. This takes CR123, so you're gonna have to take both batteries. There's really no way around that. The balaclava is multifunctional, but basically if you want to keep dust and dirt out of your mouth, it's good for that. It's good for obscuring who you are. It's so cheap and lightweight. I think this thing cost like 10 or 20 bucks back in the day when I bought it, and I had it laying around, so I have it tucked into my rig. I don't know if I would necessarily buy this, but if you have one, I would bring it. This is all medical. I'm not going to unpack this, but it's a ventilated operator kit from Tactical Response or the Tactical Medic. I'm not really a big fan of Tactical Response, but the ventilated operator kit's good shit. And there's a pack of Quick Clot thrown in there with it, and that's split up between this pouch and the pouch on the other side that we'll get to in a minute. Pace beads, that's for calculating how far that you've walked in kilometers. If you figure out how many steps it takes you to make 100 meters, then you use the bottom ones to count 100 meters, and then you use the top one to count kilometers, which are 1,000 meters. So you can calculate how far you've walked when you're trying to fucking land nav and shit. Also not in this shit is a compass. I've got several compasses. I would grab one, and I would grab one that had a lens-static type sight on it, so that you could shoot an azimuth and walk on it and shit. Like, if you don't know anything about land nav, it may be too late to learn it, but it's handy shit to know, and this is part of that. In this pocket is some 22 for the revolver, mainly because it's so small and light and I had the extra pocket. Otherwise that would probably be in the backpack. That's a box of 32s, and I would throw my 32 speed loader in there too. And then all of, can you guys see this? Yeah, all of these are shotgun shells. And we should probably talk about some of the rig itself. Before we do that, this holster that the Ruger's in is kind of what you can find from local makers at gun shows in Oklahoma for about 40 bucks. You can find some dude who's in his garage in his spare time making badass holsters. Welcome to Oklahoma. The rig is a Chinese Type 63 rig that you can use for almost anything. That's why I like it. It fits 308 mags, it fits 8K and AR mags if you stick them out the top and kind of work this around. You can put these shotgun carriers. These are the ones that are cheap on Amazon. They're kind of shitty, but if you're really on a budget, you can get 4 of them for 15 bucks. So if I was going to do a higher end version of this, the first thing I would replace would be these with probably SOE gear, or somebody like that makes a similar product with much higher quality. This is the other half of the medical kit with pig gloves on it. And then this is a police sap blackjack, and it's in a 511 single pistol mag pouch, which the flashlight is also in a sorry, not 511, Blue Force gear single pistol mag pouch. They're both in Blue Force gear single pistol mag pouches. I keep wanting to call those 511. I don't know why, but that one is one of their 10-speed pouches that's kind of elastic. So this thing just pulls out of there. It is not that difficult to get back in. And you might be like, why is that on there? Well, if you're in a scuffle on the ground, it's a handy thing to be able to pull out. Next to that's a cat tourniquet on a Wrangler band on one of the risers. And then that black pouch over there is actually just a extra box of Zombie Max shotgun ammo. Because why the fuck not? We're in the zombie apocalypse now. That's pretty much it. As far as things like to economize this, if you don't have like this holster, honestly, I can't really think of a better holster to put on here for less money. Like, you might be able to get like a UM84 or a Bianchi M9, whatever you want to call it. One of those style holsters would hold a lot of different semi-automatic guns if you're going to spend the extra money on like a Glock or something like that, which I would recommend. If you have the extra cash, do that. A Glock and a shotgun would be a hell of a combo. A Glock, a shotgun, and an AR would be an even better combo. This is kind of what I got, so that's what we're talking about. And I think it's an interesting exercise to actually build somewhat legit fucking gear out of nothing, which is what this kind of is. You'll notice that there's a lot of fucking duct tape, Fastex buckles, and nylon webbing added to this thing. That's how I fucking modify these Chinese rigs so that they're more effective. I usually take one side of them and make a short tab like this so that I can bring the whole strap around and clip it in easy versus tying it in the back. That's one of the mods I make. The other mod I like to make is actually extending these risers, because I'm a tall motherfucker and I don't like my chest rig to be on my actual like sternum or whatever, the fucking like clavicle shit up there. Like, I'm just not a fan of that. And these little Chinese rigs, that's where they end up for me. So I add just enough to lower them to like mid chest, just below like your nipples. That's where I like the rigs to ride. Some people probably disagree with that. Whatever, I don't care. This is my shit. I'm setting it up my way. The other things to note would be electronic hearing protection. You might be like, oh, I could get a cheaper version of that. If you're gonna buy a cheaper version of that, just buy earplugs. It's not fucking worth it. Peltor's the only ones worth buying. You might say like Swardens or something else like that, another brand, but those are all equally good. But I'm talking about shit that would cost less money than Peltor's. There's nothing better than Peltor's for less money. It's just not. And honestly, like Howard lights and shit like that, I wouldn't even want. I would rather have foam plugs. Now, as to why the electronic hearing protection is such an important thing in this kit, the ability to see at night is handy. The ability to hear at night is fucking incredible. Because if you have these and a flashlight, no one is sneaking up on you. I can hear everything within like fucking a mile or better with these fuckers on, especially in a quiet, environment. So I would put some emphasis on getting hearing protection. Electronic enhanced hearing protection that is worth a damn. And that's pretty much it for this rig. There's no knife on the rig besides the knife in the bag, but I don't know. I would like to have a knife on here, but it's not like 100% necessary. And it's kind of a bitch to add in, as you can see. Like, I'm kind of out of room. And I've added a lot of shit to this. This thing holds way more shit than it used to. You know, between like having the dedicated flashlight and gun pouches and the fucking blackjack and all that shit out there, and the this thing, the cat tourniquet, is just held on with a Wrangler band. You guys can even see that. So, you know, use your heads, think about what you need. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram at Klein Knives. Like, I'm pretty good at thinking outside the box when it comes to this sort of shit. Tell me what you can get a hold of and go from there. But if you can, a good place to start is one of these Chinese rigs. Even if, like, you cut the fucking tops of the pockets off and never even use that because they're gonna get you killed, which they might, it's still a good buy and a good place to start. Well, you could fucking add in some fucking bungee retention here really easy. That would be pretty good for like AR mags or AK mags. That would not be a difficult addition to make. But these things, at least when you could order them from China, were dirt fucking cheap, because the Chinese made bajillions of these things and they just sit in warehouses. So they'll sell you one for $10. Over here now, I don't know what these are going to be going for now that we're cut off from China. So that's the thing. I have one SKS rig that I saved. I'm kind of glad I did now. As if I was going to pick two to have, I would pick the Type 63 and the SKS, because the chances that you might find an SKS to use are legit, and an SKS rig would be better than this rig for the SKS. Unless you're using detachable mags, that's a whole different thing. But anyway, this video's gone on long enough. This is, you know, my budget apocalypse gear for this shit. Actually, I don't even feel underarmed, really, because, to be honest, if the only thing I had was that pump shotgun and nothing else, I still wouldn't feel underarmed for this shit. Okay, I might do some more videos later on each of these guns individually, as they're pretty much the 3 guns I own right now. Although I do have 3 other guns that are family guns that I'm definitely using in this shit. One's a Colt Official Police and 38 Special. That's loaded up for fucking defense right now. And then Cricket 22 rifle. That it's the only 22 rifle in the house, so I'm glad to have it too. And then I've got a Remington 700 Police in 308 with a scope and everything set up for fucking long range shooting. So I'm kind of looking at that more like a weapons platform type of thing for, like, you know, when the shit really hits the fan, maybe you pick that up and add it onto this loadout or something like that. But anyway, this isn't everything, but this is the stuff that is mine that I would use. As far as the calibers of the guns, I've been doing some ballistic testing and shit in my spare time, and I'm pretty well convinced that if it pokes a hole through a human body, it is about as effective as 9mm, or really most pistol rounds. So the fact that this is 32 doesn't bother me. The fact that this is 22 doesn't bother me. Shoot somebody multiple times, they're gonna fucking die. That's the thing with handguns. The shotgun, I think, speaks for itself. I feel way better about the caliber on it, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching. If you got any tips from this that helped you, great. Be sure to watch the other videos I'm going to make, as I'm going to make a few more, I think, about the guns themselves. Maybe not today, but maybe later. So look for those. Thanks for watching.